Welcome back to the channel, my fellow Salem addicts. We all knew that bringing someone back from the dead was going to come with a massive catch. Peacock TV. Spoilers. We've been tracking this for weeks, and the latest developments regarding Lexie Carver are sending absolute chills down my spine. I am sitting here practically vibrating with anxiety because the other shoe is finally dropping, and it is going to crush half of Salem in the process. Are you ready for this? Because Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is back on the canvas, and Dr. Wilhelm Rolf just delivered a literal death sentence that changes everything we thought we knew about this summer storyline. Let us set the scene in excruciating detail. The atmosphere inside the DiMera mansion is thick with an uncomfortable, heavy tension. E.J. DiMera is standing in the grand living room, probably feeling like the absolute king of the world for pulling off the impossible. E.J. DiMera resurrected his sister. E.J. DiMera played God, defied the laws of nature, and won. But then, the heavy oak doors open, and in walks Dr. Wilhelm Rolf. You know, whenever Richard Wharton steps onto our screens as Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, absolute, unmitigated chaos is about to follow. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf does not come bearing good tidings. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf looks E.J. DiMera dead in the eye, his face completely devoid of his usual mad scientist glee, and drops a bombshell that shatters E.J. DiMera's entire reality. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf reveals a horrifying truth. One of the laboratory rats treated with the exact same resurrection serum that cured Lexie Carver has met an untimely end. The rat did not just die. The rat deteriorated rapidly, succumbing to the very medicine that brought the rat back. The serum is fundamentally flawed. The sheer terror on E.J. DiMera's face in this moment is cinematic gold. Dan Feuerriegel is acting his absolute heart out here. We see E.J. DiMera tightly squeeze his eyes shut, visibly recoiling from the horrifying implications. E.J. DiMera does not want to face the reality that E.J. DiMera might have just sentenced his own sister to a second, far more agonizing death. I need to talk about E.J. DiMera's psychology here because the psychology is utterly fascinating. I passionately defend E.J. DiMera when E.J. DiMera is being a ruthless corporate shark, but I ruthlessly criticize E.J. DiMera's dangerous God complex. E.J. DiMera genuinely believed he could outsmart the universe. E.J. DiMera thought he could wield Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's volatile science without any consequences. But here is the kicker. E.J. DiMera is not Stefano DiMera. This entire storyline is a massive, glaring callback to the golden era of Days of Our Lives. This reminds me of what Stefano DiMera did back in the day with all his twisted, miraculous resurrections. Stefano DiMera always had a backup plan. Stefano DiMera knew the severe biological risks of the phoenix rising from the ashes, and Stefano DiMera always had stabilizing agents ready. E.J. DiMera, however, acted out of pure, unadulterated hubris and desperation. E.J. DiMera wanted to prove he was the ultimate DiMera patriarch, capable of miracles, completely ignoring the scientific method. If Lexie Carver dies because of this flawed serum, Lexie Carver's blood is entirely on E.J. DiMera's hands. E.J. DiMera rushed the process, and now the guilt is going to eat E.J. DiMera alive from the inside out. And you won't believe what happens next. The camera cuts away from the gloomy, oppressive DiMera mansion and takes us straight to Lexie Carver's bright, seemingly safe apartment. The contrast is absolutely heartbreaking. Lexie Carver is just trying to live her life. Lexie Carver is pushing so incredibly hard for normalcy with Abe Carver, desperate to reclaim the decades Abe Carver and Lexie Carver lost. But then, the physical reality of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's flawed science violently catches up to Lexie Carver. Lexie Carver is walking across the room, perhaps just going about a mundane task, when Lexie Carver suddenly stumbles. Lexie Carver almost completely trips over her own feet, her legs giving out beneath her, barely managing to catch herself on a piece of furniture before hitting the floor. The panic instantly sets in. We see Lexie Carver looking incredibly unsteady, Lexie Carver's vision likely blurring and spinning out of control. Lexie Carver desperately grabs the side of her head, Lexie Carver's face contorting in immense, blinding pain. It is a terrifying, visceral moment that makes your stomach drop. The life-saving drug that brought Lexie Carver back from the grave is actively turning into a lethal poison inside Lexie Carver's veins. Lexie Carver's cellular structure is likely breaking down, mirroring the tragic fate of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's lab rat. The tragedy of this is almost too much to bear. Lexie Carver fought her way back through the veil of death to her family, only to start deteriorating right before our very eyes. It is cruel, it is tragic, and it is phenomenal television. But let's look even closer at the twisted science of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf himself. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is a certified genius. There is absolutely no denying that. But Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is also incredibly prone to catastrophic errors when Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is rushed. We have seen Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's serums cause severe amnesia, violent personality alterations, and even temporary paralysis in the past. But this complete cellular breakdown, a literal ticking biological clock on someone's lifespan, that is a whole new level of dark, even for Dr. Wilhelm Rolf. The fact that the lab rat deteriorated so rapidly suggests that the serum forces dead cells to regenerate at an impossible speed to bring the person back to life. But once the initial burst of energy is depleted, the body cannot sustain the artificial life force. The cells begin to cannibalize themselves. It is a horrifying scientific nightmare. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, standing in that mansion, calmly delivering this news to E.J. DiMera, just proves how detached Dr. Wilhelm Rolf is from human suffering. To Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, Lexie Carver is just another data point in a grand experiment, but to E.J. DiMera, it is the agonizing loss of his flesh and blood all over again. Now, it is time for my hot take, and I know some of you are going to absolutely hate me for this in the comments. I am just going to say it. Abe Carver deserves the absolute misery that is coming his way. Yes, I said it. I am fiercely defending Paulina Price in this scenario, and I will not apologize for it. Paulina Price sacrificed her home, her peace of mind, and her marriage so that Abe Carver could play happy family with his resurrected wife. Abe Carver has been paralyzing himself with guilt, refusing to take down Paulina Price's photos, but still letting Lexie Carver dictate their lives. Abe Carver tossed Paulina Price aside the second Abe Carver's past walked through the door. And now Abe Carver is going to have to watch Lexie Carver die all over again. It is brutal, cosmic karma. Abe Carver shattered Paulina Price's heart, while Paulina Price is desperately trying to support Chanel Dupree DiMera through a horrific, aggressive breast tumor diagnosis. Paulina Price is facing the potential loss of her pregnant daughter, and Abe Carver abandoned Paulina Price for a ghost. Abe Carver's lack of loyalty to Paulina Price is astounding, and when Lexie Carver's health completely fails, Abe Carver will be left with absolutely nothing. Abe Carver will have lost both women because of his own weak indecision and inability to stand by his vows. And can we please talk about Theo Carver for a second? My heart is bleeding for this young man. Theo Carver just got his mother back. Theo Carver has been wrapping his arms around Lexie Carver in the hospital, crying tears of pure joy, believing the Carver family is finally whole. Right now, Theo Carver is completely distracted by his complicated, messy feelings for Gabi Hernandez. Theo Carver is busy relentlessly pursuing Gabi Hernandez, trying to mend Gabi Hernandez's broken heart after Philip Kyriakis dumped her over her corporate lies. But when Theo Carver finds out that Lexie Carver's resurrection is only temporary, it is going to absolutely destroy Theo Carver. Theo Carver has already endured so much trauma in his young life. Losing Lexie Carver a second time, especially after being given this false hope, might actually break Theo Carver's mind. I am terrified that Theo Carver will go off the deep end, perhaps even blaming E.J. DiMera and seeking violent, uncharacteristic revenge. Let us also consider the massive ripple effect this is going to have on the rest of the DiMera family, specifically Chad DiMera. Chad DiMera has historically tried his hardest to be the moral compass and the white knight of this twisted family. Chad DiMera has constantly struggled against the dark legacy left behind by Stefano DiMera. When Chad DiMera finds out that E.J. DiMera authorized an untested, faulty, and ultimately lethal serum on their sister, the DiMera brothers are going to go to absolute war. Chad DiMera is already highly suspicious of E.J. DiMera's secretive actions, especially after their tense confrontation at the Brady pub. Once the truth about the dying lab rat and Lexie Carver's failing health comes to light, Chad DiMera will realize that E.J. DiMera's reckless ambition has doomed them all. This is not just a medical failure, it is a profound moral failure. Chad DiMera will likely try to take control of the situation, perhaps even reaching out to the ISA or other underground medical contacts to find a way to reverse the cellular degradation before it is too late. The impending clash between Chad DiMera and E.J. DiMera over Lexie Carver's fate will be legendary. So, what happens next? Peacock TV. Spoilers. We need to dive into some deep, predictive lore based on the show's internal logic. E.J. DiMera is not going to just sit back and watch Lexie Carver perish. E.J. DiMera is going to go into full-blown, unhinged mad scientist mode. I predict that E.J. DiMera will resort to the darkest DiMera tactics to find a cure. E.J. DiMera will need a biological stabilizer. This is where Cat Green comes into play. We know Cat Green has a massive, hidden history with E.J. DiMera from their time in that Italian rehabilitation facility. We know Cat Green is desperately begging Marlena Evans to stop E.J. DiMera from recovering his memories via hypnosis. What if Cat Green's secret is deeply medical? What if Cat Green was subjected to early, successful versions of Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's experiments in Italy while operating under her ISA cover? I personally believe E.J. DiMera will realize Cat Green holds the biological key, the specific antibodies or genetic markers needed to stabilize the resurrection serum. E.J. DiMera will hunt Cat Green down, not for a twisted romance, but to harvest whatever immunity Cat Green possesses to save Lexie Carver. E.J. DiMera will kidnap Cat Green and force Dr. Wilhelm Rolf to extract the cure, bringing his ruthless legacy full circle. The stakes have never been higher, and the tragedy has never felt so horrifyingly inevitable. Lexie Carver's miraculous second chance at life is rapidly turning into a terrifying countdown to the grave. Will E.J. DiMera find a cure in time? Or will E.J. DiMera be forced to watch his sister slip away, knowing his own arrogant ambition is what ultimately doomed Lexie Carver? I need to hear from you guys. Do you think E.J. DiMera can pull off another medical miracle? Or is Lexie Carver destined to return to the afterlife? And do you agree with my controversial hot take about Abe Carver getting exactly what Abe Carver deserves for abandoning Paulina Price in her darkest hour? Let me know your most unhinged theories down in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of all the jaw-dropping twists, make sure you smash that subscribe button and join the Peacock TV Spoilers family. We will see you next time.